Not too long ago, I was teaching at a big guitar store, and every once in a while, a new customer would come in and play some really tasteful blues and add one of these really cool turnarounds. And everybody in the store's head would turn and look over there. And it's not because they hadn't heard these turnarounds before, it's just because they wanted to see who was playing it. And if you know your basic shuffles, then it's time to learn these top turnarounds used in blues guitar. Some of them are going to be easy, some of them are a little bit harder, but let's see which ones you know. These are the top 5 you should learn first. Let's jump right in. All right, the first one you should learn is this one in the key of E. Let me play it fast and then I'll break it down. 2, 3, 4, and 1. This one's an easy one, and this is why we should do it first. So first, you should know that this chord here that I'm playing is an E7 chord. That's important to remember because on these descending turnarounds, a lot of times they'll start with the 7th chord. So we start here, slide down once again, same chord shape. The last one, the 4th chord, is gonna be an E chord. Now you might not recognize this as a regular E because it's just the partial E. You don't have to form the entire E chord because we're only going to play the top 3 strings like that. Now the metronome's clicking at 70 BPM. So you hear on that second part of the turnaround, we do kind of a walk up to B7. Open, first finger, second finger, and then as you put that second finger down, line up the rest of this B7 chord. The last thing you'll notice on these turnarounds is I've added a open upstroke strum. You can do that with your index finger. This sometimes I refer to as a cheater strum or a filler strum. This functions as kind of an accent to get back into something familiar. So in this case, we're doing the accent, and then that jumps right into the top of the blues. In this case, we're doing a shuffle. So instead of this shape where we're going down like this, instead of that, we're just playing one note from that shape. We're alternating between the G string and the E string in triplets. So that's kind of like this. 1, 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 1. Now the second half of this turnaround is exactly the same as the first one. We have that. Okay, all that is the same, so let's just put this now in context with rhythm. 3, 4. B7, A7, and that kicks off the top of blues. Now in the tabs I've actually made 4 variations on that first turnaround that you've heard. And those will be available for FGA members to download. The link's in the description. So notice it's the same principles. We're taking a shape and sliding it down. And then the second measure again is going to walk up to that B7 chord. That's going to be kind of a standard way of treating all these turnarounds and even future turnarounds that you learn moving forward. So this one, what you want to do is have your hand set up as this shape. Okay, you can almost think of it as like, kind of like the E chord shape or an E7 shape, and then we shoot that up to the 5th and 4th fret. So we're on the 5th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the G string. And what we're going to try to do is pinch both of those together and then alternate between that E string like we did before, but this time it's kind of like a chord descending down and alternating with that E string. So like this, pinch together, ring finger, index, slide down, together, ring finger, index, slide down, pinch together, ring finger, index, slide down. Now this one, the shape never changes, it's just the second measure of that stays the same again, walking up to that B7 chord. Okay, number 4 is going to be in the key of A this time. Now, if you don't know, a lot of blues, like classic blues and Delta blues, a lot of that is played in the key of E or A. So those are the first keys that you should get really comfortable with. 3, 4. First thing you should practice is hitting a string and then getting to this shape. That's going to be the hard part, is going from here to there. So what you should do is try to guide your third finger to this D string first, and then put your pinky down on the 5th fret of the first string. Another thing you'll notice when I'm playing this is I keep my hands incredibly close to the strings. When you're first starting, inevitably, you're going to be having what we call flying fingers. So you'll do something that looks more like this. I'm exaggerating this a lot, but this is really common. If you see your fingers, sticking way out like this from the strings while you're trying to do it, it's going to make things a lot harder. Even though it seems like that's the best that you can do right now, what you need to do is concentrate on 1, 2, and getting those fingers and keeping them within an inch of the strings at all times. And the only way that you can really do that is to really actively put in a lot of focus and making sure it's very slowly for 1 or 2 sessions that you never allow your fingers to go above an inch away from the strings. Once you can get to this chord, usually people are in good shape, because there we're just descending down the D string and keeping the pinky on that high string. So all together we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, then we go to an E7, which will kick off the blues. Now the E7, you're going to see it in tab just written like this. And actually what I recommend is, even though it's not written like this, is to form the entire full E7. The reason for that is because we're going to be shuffling on that riff. We're going to be hitting some low of these E strings once you get more comfortable. And if you don't have the chord formed, it'll sound like this. That's not good, right? We want it to be like this. 2, 3, 4, and 1. Ninth fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, and we're gonna play that triplet rhythm. 1, 2, and then slide it down. 3, and slide it down again. 4, and then resolve to this A shape. So this A shape's kind of hard for a lot of people. We have 5th fret, 5th fret, barred with the first finger. Second finger is going to come up and over to hit the 6th fret of the G string. Okay, this is a hard shape to play. If you can't play this shape, I'd recommend just to play the 2 5s on the first 2 strings. So that would sound like this. This time, instead of walking up to the B7, we're walking up to an E chord. So we just go to the D string and we go 0, 1, 2, and then strum it like that. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Walk up to E, and that kicks off your blues in A. And remember, you can still use rhythmic variations from any of the examples we used before. So instead of the triplet, if you're playing fast and you don't have time to do the triplet, you can just do 8th notes with the shuffle rhythm. When you get more advanced too, I really strongly recommend adding a monotonic pulse at the bottom of all this stuff. So instead of sounding like just this by itself, you do like this. That's a really fun way to play it. It's a little bit more advanced. You're gonna have to work on thumb and finger independence to get that.